Save mine the Lord of Libs, mine books with no words, speak to us now.
Like, I think that the decisions that are being made right now legislatively in the Supreme Court are more important, or that are being made in the Supreme Court
You
are
know
more
why
important
that's happening?
than whether or not Biden has a bad...
You know why it's happening? Because Trump was able to put 3 judges on the court in 1 term. You know why that was? Because you put up a terrible candidate, Hillary Clinton, who was incredibly polarizing, very arrogant, very superior, and she got flatlined by Trump when no one saw it coming on the Democrat side. And secondly, some of your Democrat judges who should have known better decided they weren't going to resign. They weren't going to retire. And because of that, Trump was able to pack that court. So I'm afraid you reap what you sow. Just very bad politics by the Democrats.
One of those Supreme Court justices were literally lost by McConnell just robbing a president of the right to seat a judge. Nobody remembers that Garland was supposed to be on the Supreme Court for almost a full year. McConnell said, we're not going to have that hearing. That is indefensible.
Let me bring in Michael here.
Oh, my God.
Tommy has to leave in a moment. So Michael, come to you, then come back to Tommy for a final wrap from her. But Michael.
Destiny, the principle that you're articulating that a president should be able to put a judge on the court in an election year, or rather that you say Mitch McConnell violated, was a rule first articulated by Joe Biden in the 90s when he was trying to kill George Bush's judges. So obviously there was a decision today. It said that the president has some immunity for criminal acts or acts committed in his official capacity as president. And this is based on a 40-year precedent. It really goes all the way back to the Marshall Court. Really nothing should be surprising about this. And yes, the Democrats are upset. They're
not
inveighing.
True. This is
just
based
let me
on
finish
precedent.
1 second, Destiny.
Mamma mia!
They're inveighing because they say we should be talking about the immunity case. Well, but part of the articulation of I just was reading the decision was that, look, this is the first time that you've got a president who's being prosecuted in this way. And that's the problem, because the vast majority of Americans, right, left, and center, have been saying in survey after survey that they view the prosecutions of Trump as primarily politically motivated. They view this as kind of corrupt. And that's one of the reasons why Biden's poll numbers have been so bad for so long. And so they throw this Hail Mary to do a debate in June before either party has settled on a nominee. And it completely blew up in their face. And so no wonder people want to talk about it. You've got a political order that is fraying. You got a guy trying to put his opponent into an orange jumpsuit. And it turns out the guy who's trying to do that, it has applesauce for brains.
Just a follow-up question, going back to the horn guy. So you're saying that he got a little over 3 years in prison. He broke into the Capitol. And
he was escorted around the Capitol by Capitol Hill police.
He wasn't escorted.
He was. It's on video.
Mamma mia!
So are you saying that if this was Antifa, as a lot of right-wingers were claiming it was in the early days before it became very obvious that these were Trump supporters, are you saying that if Antifa broke into the Capitol in the exact same way, you would downplay it in the same way you're downplaying?
I don't think I'm downplaying anything. I think I'm seeing things clearly and stating my opinion, which happens to be correct. If this were Antifa, they would have brought bombs, which they did when I spoke at the University of Pittsburgh just about 6 months ago. If this were Antifa, they would have maimed people and probably killed some of them. But that didn't happen with the January 6thers. The only person who died in the political violence of January 6th was one of the January 6thers who was murdered by a trigger-happy cop. That this is contrary to what we were told by the media, but the media lied to us.
Mamma mia!
And then the so-called January 6thers, who may have behaved in an improper way, I'm not suggesting they didn't, were sentenced to years in prison over crimes that should have received a slap on the wrist. Meanwhile, people who committed heinous crimes for months were given a slap on the wrist when they should still be in prison today.
You keep defining abortion as the murder of babies, which biological fact is you would say most abortions are done before they are actually babies. It's still just a fetus. So my question...
Do you know what the word fetus means?
It's just a cluster, a
That's
zygote
not what
developing
fetus
into
means.
a baby eventually.
The word fetus, it's a Latin word, and it just means offspring. That's all it means. It just means the next
Does that mean
generation of a
baby?
being. So, but that's what a baby is also. I mean, that's what you would call your adult child someday once he's grown, hopefully, if he hasn't been
Can I
murdered.
ask my question?
Well, I'm just like to clarify this point. You would call your adult child your offspring too, but all of these terms that you might use, fetus, embryo, the one they love is zygote, which sounds like a Pokemon, but they use all these different terms, but it's all referring to the same being, and you were that being once. You, the person who's standing here right now.
Do any of us have a memory of being that being?
Oh, and I don't have a memory of last Thursday, frankly. It's been a very busy week.